Today, I opened my Bible to a random verse. I let God guide my hand in the selection of this verse, and the verse that was selected for today is Psalm 19:7. And in Psalm 19:7 it is written, "The law of the Lord is perfect, refreshing the soul. The statutes of the Lord are trustworthy, making wise the simple." So I've been reflecting on Psalm 19:7 lately, and I find it very powerful. The verse says, "The law of the Lord is perfect, refreshing the soul." To me, it says a lot about how God's law isn't just some distant set of rules. It's deeply connected to who we are as human beings. And it's not just about what we should or shouldn't do. It's about the way God's guidance actually brings life and renewal. First, it says God's law is perfect. That word always stands out to me because it implies completeness. It's not just good or useful, it's flawless. There's no flaw in God's guidance. I think that's reassuring, because in a world full of uncertainty and imperfections, knowing that there's something that is absolutely true and reliable can be a huge comfort. But what really strikes me is the second part, refreshing the soul. That's such a beautiful image, refreshing, restoring. To me, it feels like when you're exhausted or overwhelmed, and you finally get to sit down, take a deep breath, and drink something cold. It's like the law of the Lord is a source of deep rest, something that restores us when we're worn out. It's not just about following rules. It's about finding peace, healing, and restoration. When I think about it more, I realize that this idea of refreshing is also about freedom. The law isn't there to trap us or make life harder. Instead, it's there to guide us in a way that leads to wholeness. Sometimes we think of laws as restrictions, but here it's different. God's law is what brings true freedom, because it leads to our flourishing. When we follow it, we're not just obeying a command, we're aligning ourselves with something that is deeply good and life-giving. It also makes me reflect on the way we often view God's rules. We might see them as burdens or obligations, but Psalm 19:7 suggests they are actually a gift. They give us something to hold on to, something that can give our lives meaning and purpose, even in the middle of chaos. When we follow God's ways, we're trusting that His guidance knows what's best for us, and that's something I find a lot of peace in. So ultimately, Psalm 19:7 feels like an invitation to experience God's law as something that nurtures us. It's not cold or rigid, it's warm, it's life-giving, and it's perfect in the way it speaks to the deepest needs of our hearts. For me, it reminds me to stop and remember that God's ways really do lead to joy and peace, even when life feels heavy.